Hello,
Welcome,
everyone.
welcome. Welcome to Real Talk, everyone. We are excited to have you here with Jill and Tia and our amazing guests this week.
Yes, we are so excited to have our panel of international women that have worked in food safety and quality across the globe. So we're looking forward to the conversation and their experience, sharing it with our audience. We're also looking to hear from you, so please put in the comments where you're listening from out there in the world, putting in the comments your questions as well, because these ladies are here to talk with us and really celebrate International Women's Day, which was observed yesterday.
Mhm. And so, as you're joining, please share in the comments where you're joining from so that we can celebrate everybody as well. And if you want to use hashtag live or hashtag replay, that helps us come back. So if you may have comments afterwards, we want to make sure that we're connecting back with you to follow up on those.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
and if it's your first time joining us, we are so glad that you're here. We do this every Wednesday at noon Eastern. And we are Jill and Tia, your go to food safety and quality team for leadership and culture. We geek out over it.
We do. And we love bringing it to you each and every Wednesday, because we know that we're learning together. And so we're sharing information, we're getting information from you all. And really, our business is around building sustainable food safety cultures, not just programs. So we believe that that starts with you, it starts with the food safety and quality leader. And we really can build a sustainable food safety culture right now in your organizations. So we're excited about our weekly lives each week, and we're super excited about today. Right, Jill?
Yeah, and you know, we if you've been with us before, we like to talk, talk, talk. But this week we are gonna talk, talk, talk even more. So without any further ado, let's move forward and introduce you to our panels and our guests. So I'm going to turn it over to Damaris. Would you please tell our audience all about yourself?
Buenos dias. Good morning, Jill and Tia. And to all who connect on this wonderful morning, thank you so much for the invitation to participate in this panel to celebrate the International Women's Day with such wonderful women like Melody and Stephanie. I truly hope I can share some of my personal experiences in the wonderful world of the food industry. Uh, Talking a little bit about myself, I completed my bachelor degree in animal science with the University of Puerto Rico, Mayagüez campus, my master's in food safety with certification on international food regulation with Michigan State University. Uh, have been working in the food industry close to 28 years. Doesn't look like that, right?
Not at all. Nope.
Was blessed with good mentors, professionals who took the time to share their knowledge and experience with me through all this path. And basically, I started in a slaughter and meat processing plant in 1994 as a QC manager. And then in 2000, I was recruited by Goya de Puerto Rico as the director of quality control. During my time with Goya, I gave support to plants in the Dominican Republic, Spain, and in the United States. In 2019, I made the decision to move to Texas with my husband and pursue new challenges and accepted a position with Sigma Alimentos, a global company, as the director of QA for co-packers in the US. Recently, I had been promoted to work with the corporate QA team as Director of Quality Culture and Food Safety System to serve and work with our 68 manufacturing facilities in 18 countries across the world.
Wow.
Wow.
So most of my experience is spent in food regulations, the development of food programs, food equipment validation, thermal processing, training and education, to mention some. But the truth is that learning never ends because in the food industry, you keep learning every day about new products, formulas, equipment technologies, packaging material, you name it. I love what I do. And for me, that is very important because you need to have passion for your profession and enjoy what you do every day.
Absolutely. I love it. Wow, you've had an amazing background in food safety and quality. So I'm excited to dig even more as we get started.
Yeah, what a treat for our audience. Powerhouse woman number one. Awesome. All right. And next, for our audience to meet our powerhouse woman, the second one that we have on our panel today, Stephanie.
Guten Abend, hallo, from Germany. I'm based close to Munich. Yeah, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you also from my side for having me. I'm going to be really excited about this conversation. It's great to have those amazing experts, female experts, join together and discuss food safety because this is a topic that concerns all of us because in the end we're all consumers and so we all want to make sure that our food is safe and that's what we're all aiming for, that's our goal, and that's what we're here for eventually. Not only of course for women, men just as much. And so yeah, we're all in this together. My background is that I'm working with a company called Recall Infolink, and I kind of come in when all of you guys fail or stuff fails because we are here to recall products, and that's what I'm into, and then helping companies to figure out how to and the best way of doing that, and to protect consumers, do it really fast and easy. So yeah, I'm with this company now for 5 years. I've been in several roles with the company here in Europe, and now we've established a GmbH, and I'm the general manager. Part of my job is talking to authorities, talking to consultants, lawyers, just to be ahead of time. Also talking to companies, of course, in the food industry to learn their pain and their requirements to better protect their brand and protect their consumers. So I'm constantly enlarging my network of people in the food safety industry, trying to learn and thrive. And also, yeah, I'm writing articles and I do presentations at conferences. And I've just recently started an interview that's called interview series called Industry Insights, Connecting Experts to Experts. Whoever wants to be my interview partner, just reach out and let me know. I'm happy to talk to each and every one of you. And that's it for me.
Thank you, Stephanie. I kind of clapped when she talked about becoming a general manager because in Germany, that's such a big deal. It takes a while to become a general manager. So it's so awesome, Stephanie. We're super proud of you and super excited to have you on the panel.
Absolutely. And Stephanie, you brought up a really important part about connecting. Part of why we host Real Talk is so that we can connect because we know we are better together. So if you're in the audience and you're like, wow, I'd really love to connect with them or somebody else in the audience, that's what we do. So reach out and be like, hey, I saw you on Real Talk and I'd love to connect with you. And that way we get to share stories and learn and really grow not only as individuals together, but as our industry too. So thank you for bringing up that point, Stephanie.
Sure.
Awesome. All right. And for our third powerhouse woman, Melody, we are excited to have you here.
Hello, 大家好, with Melody. 谢谢大家. Hello, everyone. My name is Melody. It's my pleasure to join Damaris and Stephanie here to share our stories with you all online. Born and raised in Shanghai, China, and I came to the United States after I graduated from college. So a little bit about my background is I started my career with Beyond Meat, working on R&D and food safety and quality aspects, where I really found my passion of helping people. So I switched my career to food safety and quality control. I started with SQF, working for the technical team, and then working for Lido from a retailer perspective, where I thought, all those I learned from SQF, is it practical to the industry? How can I improve from a retailer perspective? That's where I make the move. At Lido, I worked with other 26 countries in Europe to help establish the QA team here in the United States. Afterward, it was fortunate and unfortunate. I think I look back was I have to find a way to support my foreign status here in the United States. So I left Lido and I worked as a consultant to help a lot of the small and medium business on food safety management system development, where I can sustain the foreign status here to continue working in the United States until I get a green card. So afterward, I worked for Chromium as a VP of Governance, Analytics, and Intelligence. My main job there is to help achieve the smarter food safety era and then to really study the environmental monitoring test results from another angle to look at food safety practices, let the data talk the objective evidence of how we can really improve our daily practices. So now I worked as Food Safety and Quality Assurance Director at Starkist. So Starkist, as a United States favorite tuna brand, we're committed to provide our stakeholders with safe, quality, and health meal solutions for all of our stakeholders. I'm really excited and look forward to today's conversation as food safety culture, food safety. It's just my passion, and I love talking with everyone about it. Please share your comments in the commenting area, and we will hopefully we will get to answer all of those questions. Look forward to it, and nice meeting you all on the line.
Thanks so much, Melody. Yes, we are super excited to have you here as well. You have such a great background, even as you talk through working with regulatory in the smarter food safety era. Like that, I mean, that's awesome. And we will love to learn more as we talk through with our panel.
Yeah, I mean, it's such a treat to have you all with us today because just from your introductions, even though we've known each other for a couple of years already, I'm like, wow, you guys have this depth and wealth of experience and insights that I'm so excited for our audience to be able to even just have, a 45 minutes of learning and sharing with you today. So
yes, absolutely. And we have quite a bit of people commenting where you are calling or listening in from. So we're super excited to have you, some new faces, which we're excited to have, as well as some old ones. So welcome, welcome, welcome. As you can see, we expand and we're reaching a lot of people, and you all may be interested in going into an international role or have worked in an international role yourself. So please feel free to add in the comments your perspective or any questions you may have.
Yeah. So, well, let's start in because today, right, it's about celebrating International Women's Day and this journey to make a more equitable world for women. And we recognize that in our industry, in food, right, there aren't as many women in decision-making chairs as we'd like to reflect. And women like our panels today are powerhouses that are helping make that shift and helping others kind of come up with them and move into new roles so that we can have this equitable world in food safety and quality as well. And so kind of with that in mind, I'm guessing that along the way, each of our guests have encountered some challenges and surprises. And so I'm going to kick off with what's been something that's really been challenging or surprising for you working internationally as a woman, and what were your takeaways? Big question, right? I'm sure you've all been surprised and challenged at times. So
right.
You're probably just going through which one do I want to share?
Well, I can start, Jill, maybe possibly with two challenges that I see in general, right? One is possibly being able to standardize programs and policies and procedures, right? This is one of the first challenges that came to my mind. And possibly a second challenge is that depending on the location is to work with plants that may have different organizational structures, levels and resources, because it's make the implementation of whatever we want to do, right, a little bit more cumbersome sometimes. And that is something that is not impossible, but it's something that may be, in my mind, a possible challenge that we may encounter.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, you talked about standardization, and we've talked about it on our show. That's a big piece of our role, right? Is that we really want to standardize processes, eliminate any issues that we may be seeing, and we really want to be able to talk about all of our facilities in a way where it's like, yes, we do these checks. We have this program that covers our global network. Can you dig a little bit more into, what you've done to try to standardize across your global locations?
Yeah, I may say that right now I'm on early stages, and basically my approach is to start learning the groups, right? Knowing each other a little
Mhm.
bit more. That way, help me to understand their needs, help me to understand where we are, and I don't know that maybe Stephanie that she's leading in the part of recalls that sometimes the programs that you have internally in the facilities, if it's different locations, how they communicate between them in terms of recalls programs, right? And documentation that may have in place. I don't know that maybe Stephanie also kind of adds something to that because I'm interested on hearing that from her perspective as well.
Sure, yeah, sure. So the challenges in that regards is different countries, different laws, and different regulations. That
Mhm.
is the biggest country. The way how recalls are being carried out in different countries, yeah, it's just different. It's challenging, and so you have to not only know the company specifics, but you would also have to know what the laws and regulations are. And so,
Mhm.
if you have a global company, it's not just one country you need to focus on, but it's more than one. And if it's a truly global company, I mean, it almost covers the world. So it's there's a lot of background information you need to gather before you can start really setting up a company and then onboarding them
Mhm.
because there are so many challenges out there. But I have to admit, I really enjoy challenges because I learn from that and I thrive through that. And so I see it as a huge growth for all of us to experience those challenges. It's not only the laws and regulations, but it's also the cultural differences that we have to address. Um, so I would say it's good to have within a company have a basis of understanding, where we all can rely to, but then we have to be also very flexible,
Mhm.
um, regarding all the different cultures and how people work together, how they address certain topics, what's important to them, where you need to be aware of maybe awkward situations that based on your own culture, would never experience that way. So this is something you have to figure out, and it's you have to be very diplomatic about getting those informations too.
Ah, how well said, Stephanie. I like that. Diplomatic.
Yeah.
Because we talk about, just relationships and how do we approach things so that we can be partners and collaborate and influence. But I think you've put a whole nother, dimension in there as well, talking about just even across cultures. Sometimes those parts that we put in place actually need to shift or need to be considered just because we all have these different cultural norms as we're working internationally. If I'm understanding
Yeah.
you correctly, that is.
Yeah, yeah, right. And you would not expect so many cultural differences, for example, between the US and Germany, but there are plenty. Let me tell you. It's,
Any
it's just,
favorite ones to share?
no. And sometimes it's just the little things. But, so I used to live in the US for a year. And so I have a little bit, maybe more background than others do. And so I'm better prepared, maybe, or however you want to call that. I'm aware of those differences because I know both cultures. I mean, of course, I don't know the US culture as much as the German one, but still, I might have a little bit more insight, maybe.
Hmm.
And so that helps a ton.
Yeah.
And it's still very interesting.
And
Yeah.
I just thought about it along this line is the regulation, because on the other hand, besides the recall, the implementation side is also quite challenging because regardless, this is one thing, like I feel like it's kind of like a surprise, but also a challenge, is that the regulations in some countries are stringent than the other. It's absolutely different for implementation. Prioritization is different. For example, in Europe, pesticides is way more stricter than the United States. Vice versa, we have something that we care a lot and is stricter. But on one common topic, food safety. So I wonder, it's not like listeria has changed in different countries. It's all like
Exactly.
it's the fact, it's
Yeah.
science that here are the food safety factors. So one thing I was trying to think through or help, I'm with Stephanie, is that challenge make us think and learn through it. Is how we can always narrow back and draw to the foundation of what are the facts, like hazards, risks. These things are objective, and based on the objectives, then we can be open, take the regulation into consideration for implementation. But those are really a major challenges. Some are very strict, some are not, some are loose, it's all different based on cultures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that makes it challenging. I love that you all bring up the regulations, how they're different. You know, a global organization and have worked in a global organization. A lot of our policies are global, and so they take into account the more stringent regulations that might not be something. It might be above and beyond, regulations in the U.S. And you all bring up such a great point around building those relationships with your counterparts, even outside of the U.S. Or outside of where you are, whether you're in Germany or you're in England, and you're really trying to branch out into the Asia market or into the South American market. It's really about building those relationships and understanding the different cultures and how you would implement in in Asia versus Europe versus South America versus in the U.S.
Absolutely. Well, and Damaris, I know you had come back to, even the learning about, different people and facilities and different and cultures and where people are at. So, even as we're celebrating International Women's Day, part of it is even that factor of like, has your experience, how do you think it's been shifted, by gender, like being a woman in these roles?
Well, you mean that is this been easy or hard? Possibly.
Possibly.
I would say that it is challenging uh, in terms of when you are getting into this position that you need to deal with different countries, because you, as Melody was mentioning, and Stephanie's regulatory requirements, but you are also talking about employees' behaviors that may be attached to cultures. Also, Melody also mentioned priorities. Yeah, priorities may change, and it came to my mind something that I read about, I think, a week ago, that Franyanas was mentioning about that priorities may change, but in reality, the foundations has the values, right,
Right.
stay the same, and that is what is making us stronger. That foundation. So in my mind, sometimes you need to be creative, right? To find ways to connect with others and at the same time be mindful for others people's opinions and cultures. In summary, you need to be a connector if you are in a leading position. You need to stay persistent, constant on creating bridges that allows team to feel close, even that they are far away, but to feel close and aware of the responsibilities and commitments we all have with food safety. That's that's what came to my mind right now.
Yeah. I love that. Even though you're far away, you set up situations where you can still feel close. I think probably the virtual world has helped with that. Would
Oh,
you
yes,
would you all say?
Absolutely. Yeah.
absolutely, yes, yes, yes.
Uh, and Damaris, you bring in a whole nother part because there's so much discussion around food safety culture. So we almost have this, Venn diagram of kind of these different country regulations and different cultures, but now also food safety culture. What have you all experienced, that's related to looking at food safety culture, even as you're working internationally?
I will say that in terms of my personal experience, right? I love it. I really love it. Even with all these maybe things or in terms of responsibilities, um, as I mentioned before, you have to have passion of what you do, and I think that that takes an important part on how you behave and react to challenges. Uh, I believe that something that I think it's important also in terms of the of getting into the international uh, focus is also identify how you're going to do mentorship to people that is working in your team. I think that that is a big responsibility. We may know a lot of things, right? Our knowledge, our experiences, but how we trespass that to other people, to develop new leaders in other locations, that to find advocates that are going to work with you on advancing your initiatives, inspiring them with your experiences and sharing your knowledge. Uh, I always do my best to engage with others. I love to learn and try new things. So even with my bad Puerto Rican accent, that I have to mention it, I have been able to develop relations with colleagues in other countries and have positive discussions to advance food safety and in quality initiatives with the companies and roles that I had the privilege to lead.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
fascinating.
specifically in the culture of a company, I think it's so important if you're a leader, you have to make sure everyone feels safe and feels trusted. You have to
Absolutely.
create that safe space for your colleagues so that they feel okay talking to you, reaching out with questions, with concerns. You just have to be there for them. And as you said, yeah, it's so great with the online, moving to the online and more digitalized communications. That helps a ton. I mean, you can jump on a call within minutes. I mean, here it's now 6:30 in the late afternoon, and it just doesn't matter. I mean, if we had been met somewhere, or I don't know, at a discussion and at an event, would have been way more difficult. But here we just dial in, we have the camera on, we talk, it's easy, it's
Yes.
simple. It just has so many benefits for all of us, and we have to make sure that we do the same thing within our company and make sure people can engage and we kind of look out for each other and provide a safe space for everyone.
Right. I love that.
And for me, when we talk about culture, I always want to, I step back when before we talk about food safety culture, I was keeping asking myself, like, culture. What is culture? Culture is a very big word. Like, if you think about country, when there are people, there are culture. It could depend on how they are raised, what foods they are eating, what kind of education they got from school, from government, is how they want to form the country looks like standing in the whole world. If I took that concept back to a company, then for a food company, for me, I think certainly food safety culture is a no-brainer. It should be an operation business culture that we mindset how we operate the company, because food company are based on food products. So it's rarely established based on foods. So if we think about a country culture and then bring back to the company culture, it really takes a lot. It takes from senior management to middle management to the line worker. A lot of times we emphasize on senior management, but if a senior management, the vision is there, then how are we going to execute? How we carry those visions layer down to the actual line worker, because they are the person out there do the job. How we make them, bring them on board. I think that's the key, like how we carry the same message without losing integrity from the senior management all the way to the bottom line worker.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
I like how you weave that into company culture, because really, that's a big focus for Jill and myself, is how do we integrate food safety into the business, where it's not this separate thing to the side, right? Food safety culture is a part of your company culture, and it's a part of the way that you get work done. So yeah, I love that.
yeah, and I would like to add something to what Melody said, is that in terms of a safety culture, people need to understand that that is more than a checklist, right?
Mm.
It's not just creating a program to comply with a requirement that is in the GFSI scheme. It's more than that. It's creating these relations, is getting to the people, and in reality, make the team as a whole, that everybody just feel, as Melody said and Stephanie, a safe environment to be open to talk and also advances. People sometimes understand what they need to do. They just sometimes they don't do it, and how we can work with these people that already know what to do on really getting in track and start doing what we need to do to advance the initiatives and the food safety in terms of all the programs developed in a company to be successful and to comply with the requirements and regulations.
Do you find that as you work internationally, um, is it more difficult to influence or inspire people who know what to do, but for whatever reason they're making a different business decision at the time? Do you find that it is easier or harder to do that at the international level across multiple cultures?
In reality, I can say that it is not problematic. It's maybe the way that you present things. I think that the challenge here is to be clear, to transmit information in a way that could be understood. And as I mentioned before, it's a way to, when you present something that is meaningful, right? It's not coming with ideas and trying to implement things without really kind of taking the time to understand what is going to function here and there, depending on the locations. And I don't know, Melody, how have you been working with that? Because I'm a newbie here in reality, even with all my knowledge and my experience in the industry. For me, I'm a learner right now, getting into the food safety culture directly and implementing and directing that. For me, is a new learning, even with the experience that I have in the industry. So, yeah, I'm learning from other colleagues as well, and contacting people that I'm seeing the comments here, and I see some of them connected. Uh, but it is interesting. For me, it's a real journey that I'm starting right now.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. And of course, we have our objectives, we have our guidelines and our plans, but it's the people, the one that you need to reach out
Yeah.
and make that connection with them. So, Melody, what can you add here?
I agree. It's a journey. Definitely, I'm learning every day here. It's a you keep an open minded to learn to different culture, why they say things like that, why they do things like that. Learning is definitely. I absolutely agree. To answer your questions, yeah, though, I don't know if it's a hard or easy how you say, or even it's a challenge. I would say it's just different. Because
Mm.
one thing I believe is you put the person in the right spot, they do perfect job. So that's why it takes time. You learn with working with different culture. You really need to learn, especially I think with the language barrier. Because although we all talk in English, from a second language learner, I know at the very beginning when I came to the States, I think in Chinese and then talk in English with the translation. Now I get better and better. I think in English. However, for those who work in other countries, that's the way they think. They think in their native language, then they translate. That's a first layer this community could potentially happen, because it might not be the things during the translation. They cannot find the exact words to communicate.
Right. Yeah.
So I think the journey is definitely to learn and put them in the right spot, and talk to them, just understanding why the culture comes from we all talk, come from the trust, come from the relationship. Having them understanding we're here to figuring out together. I'm here to learn as well. So you tell me, especially for the line worker, I always emphasize the line worker because they're our eyes and ears out there. I
Yes.
I can develop a perfect procedure here in the office, sitting rested. However, I don't know if my people will be, is it practical to my people in Ecuador or Samoa? So really hear their voices on why they think this is challenging, why they think it's hard to execute. And then we can adjust, we work, we figure out together. We are not here to, hey, you didn't do this, you didn't do that. We all have one same goal for safety, period. And that's, like I said at the very beginning, it's very objective in some sense as well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And when you implement new things, you want to make sure that the people you're trying to implement that with, it's not just checking boxes. They need to adopt what you're trying to implement and what you're trying to tell them. But in order to have them adopt your ideas and your thoughts, they first of all, you need to learn what they need and what they, what they need to help them understand and help them follow your thoughts and ideas, and then kind of mix that all together and come up with a really great solution that works for both of you.
Yeah.
So it's something that people, yeah, it's not just having something written down and they kind of check the box and go step by step, but they really need to feel it. They need to adopt it. They need to know and understand why they're doing it. They need to see the sense that it makes, and because then they are willing to do it. It is not just like a next another task for them. They understand why it's so important, and then they follow it.
Wow. I really like the theme that just came through. It's really about like how can we approach things with kindness and curiosity and collaboration? Because sometimes I find that we take things so verbatim and we forget, Melody, what you said was so powerful about the translation. And but really, take pausing to understand that and be curious to ask questions and be in that space together so that it is this joint effort that we understand where we're going and we all can adopt and buy into that. So that's
Yeah.
really powerful.
And I love that these common themes, I mean, this is what we talk about all the time in our roles. And it doesn't matter where you are implementing and working across the globe, those key themes of building relationships, having, care and integrity, being able to empathize and sympathize with people, like those are all common themes, regardless of where you are working and what country you're supporting.
Mm-hmm.
So that's just a reminder for that.
Right.
So along those lines, I have a question because our markets are so global, but not everybody's had an opportunity to experience this work internationally and with other countries. So if someone's looking at maybe stepping into this space to work, in another country and work internationally, what advice would you give?
Well, yeah, well, to follow up on Melody's thoughts, of course, language is a big thing. I mean, it doesn't make sense to come to another country and not be able to talk that specific language at all. Um, that is key, in my opinion. And so that's why I'm learning several other languages to be able to talk to people in their own language, because that already kind of bonds you to them and completely puts the whole conversation to another level. That is so important. Well, and other than language, yeah, as we talked before, being aware of a different culture, being aware of how people interact in that specific country, is also very important in my opinion. But then again, in general, I mean, we're all people. And so we all want to be treated the same way, with kindness, with understanding. We want to be supported, we want to be motivated. And I think that's a global thing.
Yes.
I love that.
I will add to that, following Stephanie line, that in terms of hints that you can do is to learn about the country, right? As she said, where you're serving or where your parent company has its headquarters. Uh, Build relation with your colleagues from those countries. That way you can learn a little bit more what is happening there. And even that you are on a different country, you have that connection to learn a little bit more and create that relation, foster those relations. Try to find common denominators that can foster that relation. Sometimes it's just not only about work, but maybe about something that you like to eat. It's a way to break the ice, right? When you start creating those relations internationally. I would say that if you want to be a successful leader, you need to really avoid micromanagement and try to be open-minded to create a space that is safe to share ideas. And I think that Melody was mentioning that before, that about having spaces and allowing people to be open to share ideas, especially when we have this situation possibly with the language barrier. uh, we need to really foster those safe spaces that people doesn't feel kind of that don't want to talk openly because maybe feel the shame, and break that. Uh, and I would say, and I have to say this, you need to surround yourself with positive people also, and project that positivity to others. Even when you have to maybe lead and you have to come with objectives and guidelines, you need to be positive, right? And it's kind of allow the environment around that to people be more open to participate and to support initiatives. I have a friend, a wonderful woman who early in my career told me that the worst enemy we have is ourselves. And we when we allow sometimes our own insecurities to spoil us, we don't grow. We just stay in a frozen stage. So uh, I believe that we need to stay true to yourself, right? When you are doing something, do it with passion, do it that you can connect with people, uh, know your weakness and strengths, use it, use those. That way you can, I don't know, create these relations and turn them into opportunities
Yeah.
to grow as an individual. And finally, I may say that never diminish your capabilities.
Mm. That's a big one.
That's wonderful advice.
Yeah, that's a
One,
really big one.
Yes, very much so.
one, oh, oh, one thing.
Yeah, Melody, what do you do?
Go ahead.
What would you add?
Sorry, because there was a delay here on the network. One advice I will think of to add on, I agree both with Stephanie and Damaris, is don't assume, please don't stereotype. Be open-minded and learning. You probably wouldn't believe how many times I heard from other people that, oh, Melody, you don't look like a Shanghainese. Oh, Melody, you don't look like a Chinese. I mean, like, hello, what does that even mean? Like, what does Chinese look like? What does Shanghainese look like? Like this, it's really, if we would like, you are going to work for a global business or a global position, then this one thing is really don't assume. Like we learn people from our relationship with them, we learn from her background, and that way the relationship can be built in a very good foundation. That's my advice.
That is wonderful advice too, Melody, because right? As humans, we like to create stories when we have unknowns and we fill those in. And while sometimes that serves us well, there's definitely times it creates, challenges and barriers for us to really learn, understand, and be curious. And
Right.
so keeping that in mind so that we stay open and curious and don't assume is powerful.
Yes,
Mhm.
absolutely. And we would love to hear advice from people that's listening in that may have worked in international roles as well. Share your advice in the comments. Just like Jill said, we go back and we read the comments and we interact with the comments. So please add your thoughts.
Yes. And I see Maggie's putting some comments in as well. And I love that. Thank you, Maggie, because I know you've worked in different countries as well. And so um, we really appreciate having you kind of reinforce some of the things that we're hearing here today about being respectful for culture and learn from each other and really focusing on teamwork.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
So I would like to know from you ladies, as we're getting close to time, but I would
Mhm.
want to know, knowing what you know now about being in an international role, what would you say helped your career being in the international role? And would you take on another international role if you had the chance?
So I would say what helped was being open-minded, be open to learn new things. But that's what we've already talked about. Yeah, just have an open mind and don't make assumptions. That is very important, Melody. I really like that statement of yours because that is
Yeah.
we all make assumptions based on our past, on our background. So yeah, just be open to talk to new people, to learn and yeah, learn new situations and learn how to handle them. And that is very, very important. And that's what we all need to be considerate of.
Mhm.
And would you continue to work in an international role? I know your role right now is international. I don't know, all three of you are touching that, but would you say yes, you would stay in international role, or yes, you would definitely do another role that touches a company broadly?
I would absolutely stay international because I just love what I do. And as passionate as the other two ladies here, it's just to me this is so important. It broadens my mind. It just it helps me thrive and learn in every aspect of my life. I enjoy traveling, even that actually, yeah, I do. I enjoy going to trade shows and talk to people because that's where we learn and that's where we connect. And yeah, definitely a yes from my side.
All right.
Yes. And I may add the same. I can agree more with what Stephanie mentioned. And let me tell you, in Puerto Rico, we have a saying that translates that if you want to cross the river, you need to get your feet wet.
Mm.
So, to Melody's point that she was mentioning before, it's very important not to make assumptions. Uh, People may have a different idea or opinion, but we need to stay true to our belief and use our judgment and our own research to find the answers, right? Uh, in my opinion, it's amazing and a real privilege to have the opportunity to be able to engage with other people, cultures, mindsets that will challenge you, but at the same time complement our path. Uh,
Mhm.
yeah, I believe that we have to, in this role, we need to be a positive influence toward a food mindset and kind of break the barriers
Yes.
and show that even we don't need to talk. Just with the body language, we send a lot of messages sometimes. So
Mm.
yeah.
Very true.
Yeah, body language. That's one
Very
thing we
true.
hadn't really talked about, but that's true. Like, your body language could create that connection, right? Even if you don't fluently speak the language of the people you're talking with,
Mhm.
communicating with. I love that.
Yep. And then for me, I think now I look back or moving forward is definitely agree with both ladies' passion and I keep learning. Like it's my passion in food safety that carried me through till today and help each other. More importantly, I think now I look back is never forget the initiatives, like why we started the journey, why we first entered the food safety industry because throughout the journey, we all understand that there are challenges, hiccups, ups and downs. Like that, sometimes I was just sitting here and think, I want to just quit the next moment. Like I'm sure you all experienced that. But what really drive me through and carry me through was I take a breath and I was thinking why I'm here, why I put my position myself in this position is because I'm passionate about food safety and quality. I love helping the stakeholders that they continue to get the safe and quality products on the market. And then if we thought about that, why we started and with a big goal, and then those small hiccups will eventually just be your life story that the next day you will share with the people. Hey, oh, we all went over those. It was an experience. It was fun. It was okay.
Right.
Things like that, it will become small. So I think that's at least helped me
Yeah.
through the journey. Also, reach out to help, like Catalyst, like the food safety coach. We have women in food safety as well. Like we help each other. We can be definitely. That's one thing I believe. We are stronger uh, together. Another thing I would like to share, I think it's on the theme. I read it on Instagram yesterday, and then it was a post saying, "When women help each other, incredible things will happen." So
Yes.
I really would like to share with the group as well is reach out for help. We are in this together, and we will together. We really will shine brighter.
Yeah, I love that, and it's true. And I know that we've seen it in our careers, whether we're working internationally or working with different cultures. We have definitely seen that. I know me personally. When I was in a role and I was at a facility that the majority of the people spoke Spanish, and I know very little Spanish. So when I gave presentations or trainings that I was responsible for. I had a really great partner that was a woman, and she really helped me through the training and communicating with people. So, we were able to make major improvements at that facility because we really partnered together. So yeah, I love that, and that hits home for me.
Mm-hmm. And Melody, I'm reading this book right now called The Soul of Money, and really it's about our energy and the value and how we display that through different places. But at the core, one of the things the author shared was she believes that everybody wants to help everybody. And if we keep that in mind at the core, even when we talk about food safety culture and culture, that we really are this interconnected. We're interconnected, and so the more we support each other, the more we all have, happiness, success, and all of the things that come with that. So
Yeah, and food safety is no competition.
no, no,
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
yeah. All right. Well, we only have a few minutes left, and I know we could talk for hours, but I also want to know, because you are just amazing women and brilliant, and you've contributed so much to our industry and to our community as already. But I am a little curious. Like, what's next for you? Or, what legacy are you hoping to leave others in this field? I know, big question to end on, isn't it?
No.
Yes.
That would be a legacy though, but for me, really, I don't see it as a legacy or even from what I think I will keep helping, for myself. I founded this woman in food safety to hopefully to provide a resourceful platform for the young generations. And then with my passion, I got help a lot from outstanding females out there, that way more. I think you better than I do. I think I learned a lot from them, and I hope we can carry all these traditions from the outstanding female leadership, their lesson learned to the young generations. I'll keep doing that, helping the industry, help myself, keep learning, and do the next right thing. I think for every moment, I'll do the next right thing. I think it will be with me.
Yeah, that sounds like quite a legacy. Even though you started with, well, I'm not sure I'll leave a legacy. That in itself.
Yeah, it's a tough question, and in reality, what it came to my mind at this stage of my life is to really being able to pass knowledge to others, and I mentioned it at the before is that mentorship that we can do. If we really have to provide what we learned when we started, we were students, we grow, we start learning, and for me is what those people back in the 90s do for me, just passing that knowledge, taking me by the hand and show me things. And yeah, through this path we have scars. And then we were hurt, but at the same time we learn, and that is something that we need to pass it on, right, to others, because it's a new bunch of leaders coming up, and we really need to take them by the hand and make sure that they really continue this project and this work for the food industry.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Love that.
Yeah, well, what can I add to that, really? I mean, everything's been said. There's maybe one small thing that I would like to add. I mean, of course, we are here together in the context of International Women's Day. However, and I know it is very important, especially for women, to support each other. But still, I would like to also bring men on board and kind of make this a overall support, no matter what gender you are. Just be there for one another, support one another, and yeah, I think all together we can even reach greater establishments and protect people better and secure our food for everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stephanie, there's no better way to wrap that up than talking about, right? It really comes down to everybody, human to humans, and that we're here for each other.
Right.
And
Exactly.
so I think that was beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we really are better together. You know, and that's a big piece. One thing Melody talked about is asking for help, reaching out, leaning on one another. And you're absolutely right, Stephanie, in the sense of like we really need everyone to really be a part of the conversation and everyone supporting each other, so that we can continue to strengthen food safety globally, because we're really all on this mission of food safety culture and strengthening food safety culture and decreasing the amount of recalls that we see across the world. So we like to share our email address, because we like for people to reach out to us and ask us questions. If you want to get in touch with one of the wonderful ladies that's on the panel, please send us an email. We'll make sure that we connect you. But then also, if you're needing help in any area that we can support or even connect you with someone in our network, please send us an email, because that's what we do, really. We're all about building those relationships, helping you build relationships, and ultimately helping you build a sustainable food safety culture at your organization.
So I want to take a moment and thank you, Melody and Stephanie and Damaris, not just for being on our show, but for being such leaders and examples and mentors in our industry, because that really sets the stage and is a great example of how we can move forward and learn from each other. So thank you.
Thank you so much, ladies.
All right.
And thank you to everyone that's out there listening. We're so excited that you were able to join us. we are live every Wednesday at noon, and then we also post these episodes on our Catalyst YouTube channel. So feel free to share, subscribe, like our videos. That would be great. And then we will see you next week.
Sounds good. All right. Have a great week, everyone.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.